I'm Dr. Fred Ogola. I'm a professor of strategy and decision making at Strathmore Business School. In this week, our main focus is, as politics is ongoing, the main topic this week is that only economic missile can succeed against William Ruto, the president. And this is what is happening is that, first of all, give credit where credit is due. His Excellency William Ruto won the presidency in the first attempt. People thought this could not happen. Raila has tried 5 times. Uhuru tried it twice. Kibaki tried it 3 times. Of course, Moi's stories and Kenyatta's are different story for another day. In fact, by doing that, he's proven to be the greatest politician actually in town, because to have been able to overcome his actually competitor Raila Amolo Odinga, who seems to be more experienced, and even outmaneuvered his boss, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta. I think he has positioned himself to be a politician par excellence in town. In fact, if you look at this story, you can also almost say that he has mastered the electoral process. That's why you heard him saying that, do you think someone can steal my vote? He said that no one can steal his vote. So he has mastered the electoral process in Kenya. Maybe he started this in 2013 with his colleague, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta. 2017, 2022, he did it. And of course, now you can also say that he has marshaled this political court, which is Supreme Court, and knows how to deal with it. That's why they have held his win. You can also say he marshaled what's called diplomatic influence on the presidency. That's why you heard Raila doing an outcry saying that it's the diplomatic community that helped him, stopped him from winning the presidency, meaning that William Ruto knew how to marshal it, for that matter. And of course, he has control of parliament, he has control of the council of governors and control of senate. That's why even you can see now all his nominees for cabinet secretaries, all of them with all the issues that people are putting around them, they have passed, and he has appointed them now officially. He's captured key institutions of government that makes use of whole and consolidate power, and that is power of the police, the intelligence, the military, all that. And also he has held the coalition together. Remember, this is very important, because Moi tried to build a coalition with LDP, KANU LDP. It failed. That's why his succession plan, where he wanted Uhuru to become the next president after him, failed. Remember that after that, Kibaki became the president with the party which is called NAC. NAC was a coalition that failed. That's why even the likes of Raila left the party. And later on, he formed PNU. So there were a lot of people who could not be able to hold on to their coalition parties that brought them to the presidency. In fact, the fallout were always too soon after the election. But remember here, William Ruto has held it. Look at all the people he promised things he has given them. All their political allies, he has rewarded them, and they are very happy where they are. So he's managed all that. Which means that if you want to beat William Ruto in politics, sorry, you cannot win it. The only person who will beat William Ruto must come from economic perspective. And let me tell you where the weak spot is so that you can explore. William Ruto came to presidency with a manifesto on Kenya Kwanza, saying that Kenya Kwanza will lower the cost of living. Even Raila said the same thing. But let me tell you, as an economist, it is impossible to lower the cost of living. Because what's happening is that we used to buy bread at 5 shillings when we were young boys. Now bread is selling at 60, 80 shillings. Do you expect us to take bread to 5 shillings? Never. Even developed economies, they are buying bread more expensively. The only thing is that people need to have money in their pocket. So because of that, I would think the president needs to get away from what took him to State House, the propaganda campaigns about cost of living, unga, subsidies. Those ones are just campaign propaganda. Let him come back and solve the real economic issue. And he needs to realize that instead of talking about subsidies, which I agree that are not sustainable, and of course subsidies cannot work because in the end, you are trying to live a false economy unless you have all the money. But what I'm trying to say is that cost living cannot go down. What can go down is productivity of a country. The more productive a country is, it will lower the inflation. We have done research as economists and discovered there is an inverse correlation between national productivity and inflation. Why am I saying so? If a country can produce more the power of the Kenya shilling will become more powerful, because then it is hedged against productivity of a country, and therefore the shilling will start gaining more power against the dollar, against the pound, among other foreign currencies. At the same time, when you can produce more, means that you can use that very money as a state to put them into healthcare, you can put them in infrastructure, and that also lowers your borrowing and debt and the rest. So it just actually lowers the cost of capital in general. So that's why I'm thinking the president needs to go to increase productivity. And productivity can be increased so many ways. I don't want to go there. But let me tell you where he has to start. To do this, he was advised by his main advisor, who is called David Ndii. David Ndii is not a hard-nosed economist. Even if he went to Rhodes Business School of Oxford, he has never been able to turn around an economy. Remember, he has never advised any government in power. When he was an economist, he began as an economist when he was advising Jaramogi Oginga Odinga against Moi. After Moi won against Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, remember that he was advisor to Raila against Uhuru. And then after that, he became now the advisor of President William Ruto against Uhuru. Which means throughout his economic career, he has been an economic activist. He's never been an economist practitioner turnaround. And relying on him at this time, it is actually going to derail William Ruto. And I'm sure he has been named as an economic advisor. If I was the president, I would manufacture a fallout between me and Ndii, so that I can move into producing productivity rather than focusing on the issue of pretending. You can lower cost of living. There is no economic formula for it. In fact, as we grow, we find we are working more, and the more we work more, we will attract more income, and that should be able to enhance our national productivity as a country. If we put more people in employment, look at issues, for example, vijana na kazi. You can go kazi mtaani. What people want is money in the pocket. By the time we have money in the pocket, the issues of cost of living will go out. No one will never discuss cost of unga when they have more money. In fact, the poor people are the one who discuss it. If you have money, you go to the supermarket, people shop with their eyes closed. Sometimes they shop when they are on the phone. They never calculate even how much is the cost of unga. Some of them, if you ask them, they've been doing shopping week in, week out. They don't know the cost of unga and sugar. But the poor goes to shop with the calculator. That's why Uchumi introduced these trolleys that have calculators on top of them. So you pick sugar, you add. You pick unga, you add. You pick oil, you add. But when people have money in their pocket, that will not be the big issue. And that's sometimes say that William Ruto's winner, or someone to beat him, will beat him through economic narrative. And they have to provide an alternative economic model to prove that bottoms-up cannot work. And in fact, it can't work. And in fact, it has never worked. So the president put the bottoms up aside and do what your predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, did. He went to State House in the guise of Hague. And he said Raila wanted to take him to the Hague. So people voted him to save him from the Hague. He never stayed in State House waiting to be saved from Hague. He discovered that people want food on the table. Remember, 48% of the people who voted for you are from Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya will not be loyalists like Luos have been loyalists to Raila, even if their economic well-being has not actually been able to improve. Mount Kenya may want instrumental love. Instrumental love means love for the purpose of something they gain. It must be scratch my back, I scratch your back. They took you to State House, now they want their economic well-being to be improved. So if you stay there still discussing about bottoms up, which will never transform this economy, being advised by David Ndii, you will not be able to see too long in State House. But should you be able to figure this out, State House is yours until you want to leave it. Because I can tell you, no one will beat you politically. But the only missile that can succeed against you is an economic missile. Thank you.